Hi everyone, welcome to my presentation, SuperPower, using Copilot to create a Power App in minutes. A bit about me, I'm Keith Atherton, a Power Platform Solution Architect based in the UK. I'm also a Microsoft MVP for business applications, a Microsoft Certified Trainer, and a LinkedIn Learning Instructor. If you have any questions, feel free to connect with me on X or LinkedIn. This session is part of the SciFiDevCon event. A massive thank you to Brian Gorman for organising it. It really is an awesome event. Please do check out the other sessions after you've watched this one. Okay, let's get started. If you're new to Power Apps, let's go over what they are. So we can see from this page by Microsoft that Power Apps deliver apps embedded with AI to modernize your legacy applications and systems fast. So the short version for me, since I've been using them, is that I see Power Apps as a very quick way to build an app, certainly for line of business apps, by using drag and drop, low code and no code tools. So very, very powerful. They can create web apps that can be accessed internally. So if we look further down this page, we can see the several features. One that we're going to look at today is this highlighting of starting with Copilot. We can see in the screenshot, this is what the Power App Studio looks like when you build an app. We'll look at this a bit closer in a moment. You can build things with AI suggestions. You can choose to start from scratch and just manually build an app. Drag and drop the controls onto the canvas here. And it can simplify development. We've got many things like templates and things that can give us a good starting point. So the first thing we'll do is we'll go to the Power Apps Maker portal, and this is where we can make a start creating a Power App. So the first thing we'll do, I'll actually go ahead and create an app manually. So if we go to create blank app, we'll start with a blank canvas app. There are different types. There are canvas apps, model-driven apps, and also you can do websites known as Power Pages, sometimes known as portals as well. We'll go ahead and do a canvas app, which gives us this blank canvas to start with. We'll do create. Call this demo canvas app. We'll use the tablet format and then go ahead and create this. So now that we've started with this app, in the center, this big white rectangle here, this is the canvas that we'll use to actually build the app with the controls. On the left, we've got a tree view here that can show us things like the screens and the controls, any data that we add, any controls that we add in, and so on. And then when we got something selected in the tree view, we can actually see on the right hand side the properties for what we've got selected right here. So if I was going to create an app manually from scratch, another way to insert a control is from up here, from this ribbon. I can go ahead and say, okay, I want a text label. I can choose where I position it, how big that is. With it selected, I've got many different properties here as well. So I can type in some text, and then I can actually change things like font sizes. You can change colors, and so on and so on. I'll add another control right here. Let's add a button. Again, we can resize this, reposition this, change everything we want. So I'll just change the text of the button. When I've got this selected as well, we've got this formula bar. A bit like Excel, we can actually add the formulas and some code up here if we want. So if I actually expand this, make it just a little bigger, I'll actually just add a function call to notify, some text to display, and if I just minimize this and then save the app and then give it a preview, this is actually the app running in the browser. So if I go ahead and click on the button, we do get this notification showing at the top. So far so basic, but it can show you how manually you can create something very, very quickly. Just some drag and drop, some minimal code. In some cases, not much code at all, depends what the app needs to do, but you can get up and running quite quickly. So what we'll look at now is actually using Copilot to create the app. So right there, we got something very basic, but as you can expect, if you need something with a few more moving parts, several different screens, or there's showing your records in a grid, and then selecting each one, showing it in a form with all the fields displayed, editing, creating records, deleting records, all of that can take time to build up. So what we'll do, we'll actually go back to the Power Apps Maker portal. We're actually going to use Copilot to create an app now, just to show how much quicker it is to give us a starting point with an app. So what we're presented with right here where it says, let's build an app, what should it do? Here's a way we can use Copilot to actually create the app. So as it says here, we can use everyday words to describe what your app should collect, track, list, or manage. You can pretty much type anything that you want in here. But what we're going to do is actually type in, and we'll say, okay, let's build an app to manage my collection of sci-fi novels, and I'll use some manners and say please as well. So what we do next is we can click on go. Now the first thing it will do when it builds this app is, at the moment it's going to be quite straightforward. It's going to be a one table app, and it's going to start with the back end first. So you can see right here what it's done is actually mocked up a table called sci-fi novels. You can see it's in a display format, not a logical format with Pascal case or anything. This is because a lot of the Power Platform relies, really makes good use of display names for tables, columns, and things like that. There's still logical names under the hood, but really this can be what's presented to end users. So this table is called sci-fi novels, but we can see we've got editing options available. We've got things like book ID. We've got, so this is a table. We've got columns for title. It's actually got some sci-fi novels. There's some dummy data for us already, which is very nice. We can see author and these actual authors there. So it's actually got some useful information, not just dummy fake info. Let's scroll across a bit. We've got genre. We've got, let's hover over this, publication date. And we've got some ratings as well. Looks like they're out of 5. So it's given us a starting point with this table. Now at the moment what the Copilot does, it's really useful, but it gives us a one table and a one screen app at the moment. It's something that we believe is getting more investment and more time involved, and may actually become more complex and more useful going forward. But to start with, it's giving us this basic starting point. Now one thing that we can do is actually, we've got the Copilot in the sidebar here, and we can actually make some tweaks if we want to change anything here. So we can see, okay, describe what you want changed. So one thing I'm going to do is say, okay, the rating, we've got some kind of a decimal here. I'm going to say make this a whole number. So let's see if we can do this. So change rating column to whole number. Let's give this a run. And so right now we've got 4.5, 4.8 and so on. Let's see if it can understand what I've asked for. Great. So they've changed them all to 4, but we can see that we've got whole numbers just there. Let's see if I just expand this a moment. Publication date, I might actually say, okay, change publication date column name to publication year. Let's see if it can figure out what we've asked for there. Okay, it's just out of the bounds of display, but we can see publication year. That's great. Okay, so let's see. Change publication year data to year only. Let's see if it can handle that one as well. Okay, it seems to be struggling with that one. It looks like it's actually cleared the data from that column. I've actually found this on occasion as well. It's not perfect. There are some things it struggles with, and there are ways we can actually give feedback to say if it's done the job or not. Another thing we can do is the data itself. So I'm actually going to say create 5 more rows. Let's see if it can handle this. Let me just move to the left here. So we've got 1 to 5 at the moment. And there we go. We've got things like Snow Crash. That's very good, by the by. Hunger Games and many others as well. So now we've actually got 10 rows. Very useful. So now we've got the back end. We've got this single table at the moment, quite a basic back end, but it's a good starting point. The next thing is to actually create the app. So we'll go down here and click on Create App. Okay, I've actually just skipped forward just to not waste your time. That took just under 2 minutes. So now that we've actually got the app created by Copilot, if we go ahead, I'll just remove the Copilot for the moment and just hit preview for this. We can actually see it's created as a single screen app. So we've got a title bar across the top here for sci-fi novels. There's some indication of the online offline mode. On the left hand side, we can actually see there's a bit of a search here as well. And further down, we can see we can actually scroll through this gallery or this list of all those records that we had. So we scroll further down, we can see it's actually the author name rather than the novel name, but we can see the data showing there. So Neil Stevenson, Isaac Asimov. So if we do a search here, say for Frank, we can see Frank Herbert comes back. So we can see we've got a searchability, which is very good. Let's clear that. We can see that when we select one of these, let's select this William Gibson, we can see on the right hand side we've got a form that's been created as well. So we can see the author, rating, this book ID that was generated, and the title of the book as well, and some of the other information. We can actually go in here, we've actually got some edit ability right here. I'll change that title and go ahead and save that. We can actually see the save has been performed. We can also delete the record if we want to, and we get this prompt which has been created as well. I'll go ahead and cancel for now. And we've also got the ability to create new records as well. So if I click right here, I will just put something meaningless in here. Let's call this ID 11. And it's not a great name, but let's call it brilliant. Okay, right, brilliant book. I'll choose a genre. We've got cyberpunk in there, and then I'll go ahead and click save. And now we can see it's actually showing in the list of records as well. So again, this is kind of a basic starting point, but we could see that just by using a prompt, it gives us the back end, it gives us a table with a good structure to start with, some meaningful dummy data that was very, very useful, and a one screen app as a good starting point. Now it's very likely that you'll want to make changes after this. We'll go ahead and change colors, theming, logos. We might want multiple screens. We might want this UI to look different, but we could see that while it is basic, you can actually spin up an app very, very quickly. And when this app is up and running, again, a Power App is really just a web app that can run in the browser, or you can run it mobile as well, so you can use it on the move. You've really got a good starting point of a workable app very, very quickly. So really impressive. I think it's really, really cool. Again, I mentioned before that while this is a basic starting point, if we check the Power Platform release planner, we can actually see that there are some improvements coming up. So to visualize and work with complex data using Copilot, this is where we can actually look at the capability of actually having multiple tables. We can see that entity relationship diagram, and we're looking at a public preview May 2024, which is this month currently. So we can see this investment and some improvements coming up for this feature. So check it out, give it a go, and please do let me know how you get on with it. Okay, we've reached the end. If you have any questions, feel free to connect with me on X or LinkedIn. Thank you for your time and enjoy the rest of the sessions at SciFiDevCon. Take care.